Welcome to Codex History of Video Games. I'm Mike Coletta.
And I'm Tyler Osby.
And today we're doing ourselves a good old-fashioned mailbag episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting. We got some mails. They're kind of backed up over the last 2 weeks because, honestly, we've been talking so much about video games, we haven't had time for emails, which I feel like is a good problem to have. Right?
I agree.
So let's get started. Tyler, you're going to read Fox Tyke's email first, and this is very much a story, I feel like. So you're going to play the part of the narrator, and I'm going to say my lines.
Okay. And I feel like Fox Tyke had sent us a message or an email similar to this before. I don't know how far back you'd have to go to find the other part of this one, but
yeah, and I think I was the narrator that time. So we're switching narrations. Okay. Also, we've had this email for a while. I feel kind of bad, but they honestly sent it to us right after we recorded the last mailbag, so it's been a month. So
yeah. Okay, so the subject,
here we go.
The subject is Across the Pub, and here's how it starts. You sit nursing your drinks. The food is typical fare for an English pub, and the beer is warm by your standards, but alas, it is a reprieve from the rations you've lived on for the past few weeks of your journey. A barmaid approaches, pensive, her face taut as though she wished that today was the day her beau would have whisked her away in the night. She stands betwixt the two of you, rigid, and speaks low. I have a message for you. You're at a loss. No one knows you're here in this region, let alone in this very pub at this very moment, and your minds race trying to ascertain whom it could possibly be. The barmaid sets down the envelope and quickly exits the area, as if relieved the deed was done, and disappears into the crowded room. Mike looks across at Tyler.
Anyone in mind?
He asks, looking at the plain but rough envelope, sealed with an arcane logo of a four-sided letter N, a familiar yet seeming distant crest you seem to recall vaguely as a distant memory. Tyler shakes his head as he tentatively picks up the envelope and, with a deft action, breaks the shimmering holographic seal. Slowly, he takes out the lone sheet of paper, small, folded in half, and opens it. He begins to read. You two have come far since the last message reached you, very far. Alas, I am no longer able to listen at work, but never fear, for the home theater is here. I have many stories of your trials before me. I look forward to them with anticipation. It's signed, Terror of Game Mechanics, Wrath of MMO Grinds. Mike looks at Tyler.
Well, I'm not a bloody mind reader. What does it say?
Tyler folds the note and places it back into the envelope and into his pocket, his face blank. Our silent observer remains ever so vigilant upon our work. He goes to say something further, then closes his mouth and ponders for a moment before continuing. Still not sure if he likes waffles, though. The questions have no answers. The answers have no questions. And once again, you're left wondering just who is this enigmatic fellow who has such a keen interest in your work to opine about the minutiae of games. Mike shrugs and stares into his glass, a distinct lack of moisture upon its surface.
Warm beer is terrible. Let's go to Denny's next time. We could ending. That was fun. That was like a mini D&D campaign in there. I loved it. Great job reading it, Tyler. Also, your voice was different between you as Tyler and the narrator. I thought you did a great job.
Two different characters, you know?
That was wonderful. Now, I have a funny feeling this is a mystery that's going to unfold, I think. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Over time?
Yep.
Is that the vibe we're getting?
That's the vibe I'm getting.
I love it. Thank you so much, Fox Tyke. We look forward to hearing more. Okay. Next one is from our friend. I'm going to say it because I turned mine off before we read these emails.
I'm turning mine off right now.
Alexa emailed us. So here we go. It's Cues for the Dudes is the subject line. Hey, Mike and Ty. I had an idea for a tier list episode. I was thinking it might be fun to rank consoles by their aesthetics. Be interesting to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Also, for Mike, when are you doing a show in the Bay Area? I'd love to catch one if you're around here. Oh, Colillas de Araña. That's spider butts in Spanish. Alexa. Ooh. I had to break out my Spanish there a little bit. That was kind of hard. I think I pronounced that correctly. Someone let us know. That consoles by aesthetics is a great idea. Really great. And we will probably be doing that, actually, because I love the idea of just looking at a picture of a console and being like, we're going to just judge it by its looks, essentially. We are going to judge books by their covers, that episode. That's what we're doing. Regarding shows in the Bay Area, I don't have any set up yet. I actually have kind of been, so far this year, very much Washington, Oregon, Idaho-y based. But I would love to go down there. I went to the Bay Area, I think, Gosh, it's been like 5 years now, so I need to go back for sure. But I will let you know, Alexa, when I am down there, because now I have your email. So there we go. You're now the only person on my email list that's not created, so that's good. All right, and the next email we got actually is from Alexa also, regarding the infamous Alexa incident from a couple podcasts ago. So this is one more thing is the subject line. I forgot. You asked how it was being named Alexa these days. Well, let me tell you, it can get super annoying. Everyone thinks they're the funniest person to ever exist when they make Alexa jokes. I don't even laugh along anymore. I just give them a stone cold stare until they feel uncomfortable and with having made such a terrible joke. And there's an angry face emoji. Also, both of my parents each have Alexas, so when I call them, it goes off every single time. They even changed the name on it since there's a choice between a couple, but they switched it back? I don't get it. Anyway, thanks for reading this addendum. We're sorry, Alexa. That's got to suck. That really does have to suck. It's going to be super annoying.
Yeah, it's got to be real bad. Even you can change it to be like computer or Amazon or Echo, I think.
It should just be Echo because, I mean, the Alexa is kind of a common name. Like Siri, I just said it, is not as common a name as Alexa, I feel like, right? So that's why they can kind of get away with that. But Alexa, it's like if you had a, like a home thing named Steve or something. It's not,
At least in North America. I don't know how common the name Siri is elsewhere in the world.
That's true. That's a good point.
Or and Alexa may not be that common. If you're in the world of The Witcher,
elsewhere. If you're in The Witcher, that thing's going to go off a lot.
That's
true.
It'd be
kind of annoying if it's Siri. So, thank you for the email, Alexa. Would you like to read Ethan's email?
Yes, Ethan's email. The subject line is, only good thing about a Monday. Dear Mike and Tyler, thank you for the hours and hours of entertainment, for being funny and interesting, and making every Monday a little better through good times and bad. I've always had your show to tune out the world. Thank you for all the great work you do for no reason other than making the world a happier place one episode at a time. Cheers, Ethan. P.S. A discussion on different game business models, free to play and subscriptions like Game Pass and what they mean for the game, the community, and the devs would be cool. That's a great idea.
That is a really good idea.
Thanks for saying nice things about us, Ethan.
Yeah, thank you, Ethan. That's really nice. I would love that. I would also love to get a developer on that has a game on Game Pass. Just be like, how does this work? Do they just pay you a ton of money and then your game's just on there for a while? Because you got to think they're making up for sales you would get if the game was not on Game Pass, right? That's how it's got to work. Also, are you exclusive? If you're on Game Pass, like for like an indie game, does that mean you can't put your game out anywhere else because they want the exclusivity for it? I have so many questions.
It probably all factors in. I imagine there's also a potential win for like if this is an indie game that doesn't have a big advertising budget, they might go to Game Pass and Game Pass will advertise them. And so they'll actually get more players and maybe more money than they would have gotten even if they had put it up for sale, right, on Steam or whatever. So it could work out that way. Like when you say like, oh, they'll give you enough money to make up for lost sales, like those may not have been lost sales. They may have just never happened anyway,
That's true. It's like a risk reward kind of thing of like, do I risk putting it out and just selling it myself, or do I just take this money now? And this actually might have saved my butt a little bit. I think about Tunic as an example of this, because would Tunic have been as sensation and a hit if it just came out on Steam, or would it gotten buried in the Steam algorithm of like all sorts of stuff? Because
good question. It is on Steam. Yeah,
it is. As a person who used to do like indie game marketing for a very short period of time, it was like a year I was doing it. I can tell you that the Steam algorithm can be brutal for indie developers if they like just try to put something out and like being discovered. It's really hard. It's a really hard business because there is so much out there to compete with. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would love to talk about different business models, free to play, stuff like that. That's a great idea, Ethan. You know what? I'm going to put it on our list. I'm going to put it on our list right after we record this. It's going on there. Thank you, Ethan. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to mark it as unread too, so I don't forget. All right. This next one is from Stephen Brown from North Dakota. I'm assuming I can say the name because that is the subject line of the email. So I think it's okay. All right. Hey guys, discovered this podcast after Christmas, and it's been my daily work binge ever since. Just made it to episode 110, and I really love the witty humor and attention to detail on even the throwaway games from major franchises. I do, however, have a future episode suggestion. Maybe I'll hear it soon while I catch up. but the CDI Zelda games, I think would be hilarious to hear about because of all the cringy and memeable moments in them. Love the pod, and being a fellow stand-up, I can also relate to Mike's comedy. Keep it up. Hoping to hear this soon. Steven. Thank you, Steven. So nice
Thanks,
to hear.
Steven. Yeah. I've never played those games, the
I
CDI
haven't
Zelda
either.
games. They are extremely well known in how bad they are.
Yeah, I know. I think we should do that together as a thing.
Not a
we
bad
do.
idea. We have to figure out, there must be a CDI emulator.
There has to be. I mean, we got to get legal copies of the game, obviously, attain legal copies of them.
Of course.
And then we have to play the emulator. Also, this is kind of a good thing. Speaking of us playing games together, we got a good comment from YouTube about why we don't do videos of us recording. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to like say something about it because I feel like that's something that people might be interested in wondering why. And for me, I don't know about Tyler. I'm just speaking for myself here. I'm extremely picky about production value looks, you know? And if we were going to do something like that, I'd kind of want to go all in. I don't know about you, Tyler, but that's how I feel about it. If we were going to do a record, because right now I have a webcam. It's not very good. Like, I don't want to like put something out that doesn't look the quality I would want to be out there.
Yeah, I agree. And it's more work than
it
audio
is more
only
work
because you have to set, like, my room is a mess here and I don't want to show you guys, so I would have to clean it up.
Exactly.
I got to find cool lights to make sure I'm well lit. Like, not that you can't do that, but it's just more work.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the work aspect of it, and then also the production value side of how we'd want to do it. So as of right now, we just throw them up on YouTube audio only because that's just another place for you to listen. If you want to listen there, you can. But in the future, it might happen. It might not. We don't know. I just wanted to address it because we got a comment about it, and it was a very good point. I'm like, oh, we never really talked about this before, so I appreciated the comment. Thought I'd respond here. But thank you, Steven, for the email. Also, I've never been to North Dakota to do stand-up comedy, but I would. Just throwing it out there. I would do it. All right. So, would you like to read Joel from Texas's email?
Yeah. Joel's message here starts, "Howdy, Joel from the Cowboy Empire here. Everyone, I am sure, is excited for Elder Scrolls 6. Sadly, it'll be a while before we get any news about development, let alone an actual game. So here are my two open-ended questions that will be half of your final exam grade. What do you want in Elder Scrolls 6, and what do you think they will add? Personally, I want Elder Scrolls 6 to let us fight and take down the Aldmeri Dominion, because screw those elves, they need to be taken down a notch. I also would like it to take place in Elsewhere, because I like playing as the Khajiit and want them to be more developed, but I know that is a high order. I want Oblivion's arena back. For what I think they might add, I'm guessing a lot of bugs. Looking forward to your ideas. Spider Bongos, Joel. Crime Boss, Epic Gamer, fellow Jaybird enjoyer. P.S. Not sure why I was so adamant about multiplayer in those other emails I sent, also about Elder Scrolls 6. I have a grand total of 2 friends, and none of them play the games I play. Guess I thought it would be fun."
I forget how we address the multiplayer aspect of it. It would be a fun thing. I think our thoughts last time were that it would kind of take away from the aspect of Elder Scrolls, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because Elder Scrolls feels like your hero, but I'm not opposed to co-op in it. It would be cool. It would just, I don't know if they pull it off. Also, if you think a game's buggy now without co-op, imagine how buggy it would be with co-op.
Yeah, I don't know if I would want multiplayer. It might be fun. I kind of like it the way it is now, where it's like a mod, because you can like play with it and like not expect too much out of it. I feel like if they made the game with co-op in mind, though, it would change a lot. And I don't think I would want those kinds of changes. Like, I think I like just traveling solo through the game.
Things we would want, though. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't play that much Elder Scrolls. I played Oblivion and I played Skyrim when it came out, and that was over 10 years ago. So
I do play a bit of Elder Scrolls. So I love the idea of going to Elsewhere. I think that's a really cool thought. So I completely agree with Joel there. And like, because playing as the Khajiit is fun, and going to like we would need a new place, I think. You know, we went to Skyrim and saw how the Nords live. We were in Morrowind. We saw how like the Dark Elves in Morrowind lived. I want to go to a new place. I also thought like the Argonian swamps. I forget what they're called. I should know this. It's a problem for me is like I can't handle this many things in my fantasy brain. Like D&D and Lord of the Rings and Elder Scrolls just all blend together, and I get things wrong all the time. So I'm not even going to try. Black Marsh. I think it's called Black Marsh. I think that's what it's called. Can you Google it for me? My keyboard's
the
really
swampy
loud.
region.
Yeah, Argonian swamps in Elder Scrolls. I'm pretty sure it's called Black Marsh. Maybe I'm wrong, though.
The first thing that comes up is the Elder Scrolls wiki, and it says Black Marsh. So I think you're right.
Yes, I nailed it. Okay. So I would want to go there too. The one thing that I am like super wanting from Elder Scrolls 6 is I want them to take a backtrack into what they did in Morrowind, and I want more like throwable weapons like spears and stuff. And I also want a spell creation system like there was in Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, because that was so fun in that game to make your own spells. And it was obviously like you start making like serious ones, but then you'd get into like the experimental side of things. Like I had a friend in high school who made a spell that killed the entire town of Balmora and also crashed the game, but it was super cool. And I want that again.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I want that kind of stuff in the game for me. Like, give me more freedom. Also, and this is going to make me sound like old man gamer sitting on a rock, but I like the less hand-holdy version of an RPG, and I don't know if they could really pull that off now. I feel like Oblivion was kind of a good middle ground with it, because I think Morrowind, where it's just like head southwest along the river until you hit this cave, and that's where you need to go, but no quest marker, is definitely kind of archaic for modern day.
Yeah.
But I think the hand-holdy nature of like, you can't figure this out. You just gotta go here. Here's the point. Just go there. Click on this.
They don't even give you the option to like try to figure it out. Like,
yeah,
they just put the marker on the map. You're like, I mean, okay, sure, but it's kind of fun deciphering those things. And
it's funny because I'm very like much saying this right now, and if they did it wrong in that sense and didn't get the balance right, it would be like too hand-holdy. But the other end of the spectrum is a super frustrating game where you have no idea what you're doing. So it's kind of hard to pull that off. And I'm not a game developer, so it's up for them to decide. They can do it. That's their job. But yeah, I guess that's my answer. Spell creation. I want throwable weapons, and I want it to feel independent, but not too independent, if that makes sense in the quest design aspect of things.
Okay.
So those would be my things. But also, I would also love to fight the Aldmeri Dominion too, because they are like pretty messed up in Skyrim, and you never really get to fight them short of being at like the embassy and fighting them. And I want that. I want to fight them. You know what I mean? I want to wage war is what I'm saying.
I want that for you.
Thank you, Tyler. Also, thank you, Joel. That's a good email.
Yeah.
All right. The next one. We have more from Alexa, actually, which is exciting. And this is regarding Birdo. Remember, we kind of talked about Birdo on our tier list.
Yeah.
So Birdo is just the subject line from Alexa. Know what I want to see? I want to see Birdo at the helm of a third-person shooter. They can shoot eggs at enemies, and there's different Birdos in Mario 2 that are slightly different. Maybe Birdo recruits Yoshi as a sidekick, and he goes around throwing eggs and spitting fire at Goombas. Would be banging. Also, Birdo gets a lot of points from me for being sort of one of the only major transgender characters in video gaming. Birdo also, according to the Mario 2 manual, would prefer to be called Birdetta. We've been dead naming Birdo this whole time, y'all. There's a weird history with this character and a lot of nebulous discussion around the facts. I encourage you guys to check it out. Probably not enough material for an episode, but a fun project nonetheless. Also, I have to defend my boy Toad for 1 minute. He was super helpful in Mario 64, as in some areas he'd give you a free star for nothing in return. There's plenty of situations where you need that 1 star to go to the next area, and all you do is turn the corner. Look for that Toad ghost. Why is he a ghost? And boom. Homie's shelling out his savings account to help Mario for the greater good. Credit where credit is due. Angry face. Anyway, Toad butts, Alexa. You know, we were hard on Toad, but I stand by it. I stand by it.
I agree. Hey, he was helpful in Mario 64. I'll give him credit for that, but you're right. I still stand by where we put him on our.
Yeah, I would also. I mean, I was actually thinking about that when we were talking about Birdo, because Birdo is like one of the main transgender characters in video game. One of the only transgender characters in gaming, like Alexa says here, and I think there's a lot to talk about there. I just feel like I am not an expert in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would want to get someone to talk about that on the podcast. That would be a good guest opportunity, I feel like, for us.
Yeah, I agree. Also, going to start calling Birdo Birdetta from now on.
That's right. Birdetta. I love it. Was Birdo like the name in the manual, or was that just what people called her in it?
Birdo is what it says everywhere. Like even in newer games with them, Birdo is
So
still
that's
Birdo.
like what's from Nintendo. Interesting.
So Nintendo calls them Birdo, but the manual says that they would prefer to be called Birdetta, and I am all about calling people what they would prefer to be called.
100% do that. Okay, so I'm gonna write down Birdetta in our episode ideas and kind of look into this. Okay. I think that would be a good episode idea.
Yeah.
Thank you for the email, Alexa, and also giving us some more insight into Birdetta, and also trying to defend Toad, who's cannot be defended in my mind. That's right. I'm sticking hard on the Toad train.
Dang.
Yeah, on the Toad hate train. I'm committing to it. I rarely commit, so I got to commit.
All aboard the Toad hate train.
You want to read the next email?
Yes, I do. The next email is from someone also named Mike.
Ooh.
The subject is Age of Empires. Hey guys, I've only recently come across your podcast, but wow, I have been binging everything. I love it all. I've been playing a lot of Age of Empires lately, and it crossed my mind. Have you covered it yet? Do either of you have a history with any of the games? If so, would love to hear your stories. If not, I think the Age of Empires series may be worth an episode. Thank you so much for your podcast. It brings so much joy to so many people. All the best, Mike. I agree. I don't have a lot of experience with Age of Empires, but I know Age of Empires 4, I think, just came out recently, and it's on Game Pass. Age of Empires 2 HD is on Game Pass. And I think there's maybe an HD version of Age of Empires 1 and 3, and then there's also Age of Mythology. Like, there's a lot of games there, and they were coming out during my formative PC gaming years, like the early 2000s, late 90s. I never got around to playing them because I was never really into real-time strategies, but I do want to check them out because they seem fun.
Yeah, I was actually just talking to my friend about this because Age of Empires is on console. And then also, I just kind of want to see how that translates to console. Because it's hard to pull off a RTS on a console. Yep. And I would want to know. I would also want to know. Also, with this whole Microsoft Blizzard acquisition, does that mean we may see the original Warcraft games come to console as like remastered? That could be a thing.
Maybe Warcraft 3. They didn't remaster the first two at all, did they?
I don't believe so. I have more experience, honestly, with Warcraft 1 and 2 than I do with Warcraft 3. But regarding Age of Empires, I have a lot of experience with Age of Empires 2 because when I was a kid living in Alaska, we would go every summer to this place called Halibut Cove, which is a beautiful, like, cove on the ocean, like, hour ferry ride away from civilization, and we would all there and go fishing and stuff, and then I would spend some time inside playing Age of Empires 2 on the computer.
And you should have been out enjoying the great outdoors.
Enjoying nature. I should have been doing that, but instead I was playing Age of Empires 2, and you know what? No regrets, because that game is dope. So I would definitely want to talk about this for sure. So I will also add that to the list. Gosh, I'm getting so many good episode ideas today. We got Burdette, we got Age of Empires, we got business models of gaming. I love this. I'm writing these all down. Alrighty, next email. This is from Andre. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Hey, Mike and Tyler. I was listening to your show a couple weeks ago, and Tyler mentioned he had a Game Boy mod. Got me thinking about all the cool stuff you could do with the mini Nintendos and Super Nintendos and download emulators and how they hack and modify Nintendo Wiis. It would be cool if you can do an episode about game patches, ROMs, and hacks and mods on hardware. As always, love hearing you guys every Monday. Always excited about new content. Spider butts, whatever that means. Your retro gaming pal, Andre.
Thanks, Andre.
I think we have it written down somewhere to do mods, but I think we talk about like software mods, not necessarily hardware mods.
Yeah, like mods for games specifically. I would love to talk about like the history of console modding. I'm not an expert on it. I mean, I've done a lot of console modding, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert on the history of it. There is a really good YouTube channel to check out. Modern Vintage Gamer has a lot of videos.
Oh, I love them.
From the past few years that will go into like the hacking scenes for like, especially the original Xbox, because he was heavily involved in the original Xbox modding scene. But he has a lot of really cool like history of hacks and how they work videos that are really, really worth watching. So highly recommend checking out Modern Vintage Gamer.
That's really good. That's a really good idea. Yeah, I actually just wrote that down to watch more of their stuff because I love that channel. Channel's so good. Also, I think they're referring to your Miu Mini, correct?
Oh, yeah.
When they say Game Boy mod? Because the Miu Mini is exciting. And this whole new generation of these third-party handhelds to play old games is also super interesting to me as like kind of a new thing because there's so many of them.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. They're having a bit of a renaissance right now. They've been around for over a decade now. Like I have a couple of old Android tablets that were garbage, but I got them about 10 years ago. And they're like sort of like one of them feels like a PSP. Another one feels kind of like a Wii U gamepad. They're very cool. You could do emulators and stuff on them, but they were like pretty janky. And then there were also handhelds back then too that ran like Linux and stuff. But with the Steam Deck really popularizing portable gaming, at least for the like the hacker scene isn't right, but like this open portability, there's been sort of a renaissance in handheld PCs, of which I'm a fan. I have a few of those as well, but also these like smaller Linux things that can play, that have emulators built in. They can play the Miu Mini specifically that I have plays up to Nintendo 64. Well, it doesn't play Nintendo 64. It plays up to PlayStation. It doesn't have a joystick on it, so it can't really handle Nintendo 64. But you can play original PlayStation games on it, and it runs really, really well. It's very small. That's what's cool. The coolest thing about it. And it's just like, it doesn't even have Wi-Fi. Like it has one job and it's just play old games, and it works really well for that. It keeps the save states of all the games that you're playing, and it makes a lot of automatic save states for you. So you can switch between games really quickly. Big fan of the Miu Mini.
I love that. I'm trying to get one right now and they're sold out. Like if I want to actually get one, I'd have to pay way more than they're worth cost wise. But then you told me about the Miu Medium and I might just wait for that.
There's that. There's also the Anbernic RG335 series, 35XX. There's a bunch of them that are all kind of the same, but I think they're like various revisions. Those are a little bit bigger than the Miu Mini, but they do kind of the same thing, and they're also very cool.
Nice, dude. I love this. Yeah, this is a great topic, and I think it would probably be multi-episode because there's a lot to cover with hardware mods and gaming.
I think you would want to like start at the very beginning and be like, okay, what kind of mods were people doing to their Atari 2600, right? That's like maybe the genesis of console modding, and then you get more into stuff like flash cartridges, especially when you're in like Nintendo 64 area of like not so much modifying the hardware itself, but like using like unofficial technology to like dump cartridges and things like that, and play homebrew games and pirated games and stuff. And then you get into the consoles that have software to hack. Like the PSP had such a cool hacking scene. The original Xbox had a great hacking scene. Man, that stuff is so cool.
Yeah, it actually made me think about how, well, I want to mod my 360. We've talked about this at length, but also I was looking up, and it's not really worth it. It's just kind of like a fun thing I would do, to be honest. Like I'm probably better off just getting a new console. But I did find out Microsoft supplies on their like support site a copy of like an offline version of an offline install of the Xbox One operating system. And because of that, I can go buy like a 1 terabyte, 2.5 inch SSD and put that offline version of it I could boot it from a flash drive into the side of my Xbox One, and I can install an SSD into my Xbox One, like internally with the operating system on it.
Oh, interesting.
I'm thinking about doing this because my Xbox is really chugging, like it's having a real hard time, but I really think the bottleneck is the hard drive because it's a spinny, old school mechanical hard drive, right? And it would be more of an experiment than it would be like worth it, I think. Like in reality, if I wanted to have a better system, I should just buy an Xbox Series S because it's cheap, compared to like I'm going to spend like $89 on an SSD when I really should just pay $200 more to get a brand new system, if that makes, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think you'll find my hypothesis on this is that you'll find games load faster but don't run any better. But that the dashboard will probably be a lot more responsive as you move through it. If that's
because that's something that's chugging too. It's just starting to show its age, and realistically, I kind of added it up. I got that in 2014, so it's almost 10 years old.
Yeah, and
this
I mean, it came
Xbox
out in
One.
late 2013, so like,
And it still plays games. I mean, it still runs. It's just really slow to load. And I notice it when I try to play games with my friends, and I actually load into the game after the game has started. Like we were playing Insurgency, and I would load in dead, and I'd have to like come back up,
oh man,
which is pretty funny. But it was just like an experiment. So that got me thinking about it. Thank you for the email, though, Andre. You ready to do the last one here? It's from Daniel from Kentucky. Backlog conundrum.
Yep. It says, "Hey, Mike and Tyler. First off, I love the podcast. I found it about a year ago and have made my way through every episode. It's been great, but you guys have really put a strain on my backlog. Speaking of backlogs, do you have a game or games on your backlog that you never see yourself getting to? I would love to play through all of the Final Fantasy games, but the time commitment for each game is daunting, and I find myself picking up shorter games instead. Hot take, Final Fantasy 13 trilogy is amazing." Thank you, Daniel. I've been trying to say that for years now. Second part.
He screams it from the rooftops every time we get online. Tyler just screams that at me.
Yep. Second part. Do you have a game or series that you insist on replaying despite your backlog? Mine would be Pokemon. I always have a Pokemon game in the rotation. Thanks for the awesome podcast. You make Mondays more bearable. Daniel from Kentucky. First question. Games I don't think I'll get to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I just pulled up my Trello board so we could do this
together. Yeah, that's what I'm doing too.
All right. So I have multiple games in the backlog column here. Games I may never get to. Looking through that right now.
Games I may never get to. I'm thinking...
I have Sunset Overdrive on here, and I know that's a really good game, but personally, I just feel like that's something that's kind of passed me by.
Yeah, same. That one's on there for me.
Super Meat Boy's on there, and I know that game gets really hard, and that's kind of passed me by.
Yeah, Gears Tactics, I think, is one that I'm probably not going to get to, although I would like to. Also, Tokyo Mirage Sessions Encore. I would love to play, but I just don't think I'm going to get there.
Oh, here's the one. Here's the one that's going to get away, and I'm never going to play again. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Telltale game, The Wolf Among Us. I know it's good. I love the Fable comic book series, but I just don't think this type of game is for me. Like the quick time event narrative game, I just don't like them. And it's nothing against the story, I'm sure is great. I just have zero interest in this genre of video game.
Mm-hmm.
I want to try to be that guy, but I can't.
Yep.
So that's the big one for me is probably Wolf Among Us. I'm looking through all of my backstories here. What about you, Tyler? You have any more other ones?
There's a lot of JRPGs. I think, okay, so I said Gears Tactics and Tokyo Mirage Sessions. I think one that I'm also not going to get to anytime soon is Yakuza Like a Dragon. I really want to play it, but
whole series I want to play, but it's so daunting looking at it. It feels, and I know it's really funny and it's really cool, and the weird zany jokes you have when you do like these outer activities.
Mm-hmm.
I love those, but yeah, that's a hard one to play for sure because it's just so many, it's so big.
The new Tomb Raider series too, which isn't new anymore. It's like the first one is a decade old now, but that's a series that I've always had on my list that I would like to get to, and I just never have, and I don't know when I will.
Also, I have a game on here that I'm trying to get through, but I feel like at some point I'm going to give up on it, and it was actually going to be what I talk about in the What You've Been Playing section of today, but I'll just kind of pre-do it now. I got back into Darkest Dungeon, and I love Darkest Dungeon. I love this game. I made the mistake of turning the DLC on when I hadn't completed the main story, and they even warned me that it's going to make the game way harder.
Oh, they're like,
it has
don't do
gotten
that.
so hard to the point that I don't want to do it anymore, and I feel like I don't have the energy to restart either. Like it's just too much for me. So I'm really worried that Darkest Dungeon's going to be a game I never beat, even though I love it. I love the game. It's just so hard, you know?
Yep.
Maybe I beat it 10 years from now on this save and put like 300 hours into it is how it would work. Good question, though.
Yeah.
As far as a game that I insist on replaying despite my backlog, ooh, that's a hard one for me. I do think Pokemon games are on there, but as far as replaying, I'm going to be honest, I kind of stopped replaying games because they they just seem like I look at this list and I feel so much like I have so much to play. You know what I mean? Like I want to I guess I go back to Stardew Valley every once in a while. I do that. I go back to those Jurassic World games, the evolution games, the Park Sim ones. I go back to those quite often just as something to like do for like a fun respite. What about you? Do you have any games you go back to?
I don't know if I have. So the closest thing that I have to a game that I come back to on a semi-regular basis is the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series, specifically the second one. I must have beaten that 100 times by now. I could do it in like a short afternoon at this point, like get everything in every level.
I love that.
So every now and then I'll fire that up, and I've played it on PlayStation. I've played it on Nintendo 64. I've played it on Dreamcast. I've played Tony Hawk 2X for the original Xbox, and now the remakes that came out a couple years ago or 3 years ago now of 1 and 2. Love it. That's it.
Oh, that
that's
remake was so fun.
Yeah, that's the one I constantly come back to. But otherwise, I mean, Pokemon, I will fire up out of curiosity once in a while, but I never really like get into it again. Yeah.
I have a question for you on your Trello board. My most successful year for gaming correlates with COVID. Is it the same for you? Like the most games I have beaten in 1 year is 2020.
I think so. Does it say
it's like
how many are on there?
It's like 30 something for me. I just counted them.
Oh, yeah.
It's a
2020,
lot.
Yeah, 2021 doesn't have, 2022 doesn't have as many, 2019. Yeah, it's 2020.
Yeah,
I played a lot of Call of Duty games in 2020.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You did all the Call of Duty games. Well, not all of them, but you did a lot of them. I remember that.
Yeah, and you and I played through, that was when we played through all of the Gears of War games. We played through all the Halo games as they came out on PC too.
That was super
fun. So there was a lot of replays in that.
Yeah, I also did all the Half-Lives for the show that year.
Yeah, I did all the Splinter Cells.
I still haven't played the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the reboot of that. That's relatively new, but I'm kind of waiting because I'm thinking that might show up on some sort of, Game Pass situation with the whole Activision Microsoft thing. I'm really waiting on a lot of these Activision games because I'm wondering if the old Call of Duties will be put on Game Pass because of those campaigns.
I hope so. I think you might end up waiting a long time because it seems like they're going to be held up in court for a long time with that one.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
So I wouldn't hold my breath on that.
I thought I would directly benefit from this monopoly. You know what I mean? That's what I was really hoping for. Good question, though. I do think it's not bad that you go back and replay games, though, by any means, because games are supposed to be fun, right? That's why we do this. So I think it's fine to have that happen. And it is. The backlog is not something I feel like you should look at as something you're ever going to clear. Just something you have is like, oh, I have this backlog, but it's going to play what you feel. I've definitely become a play what you feel kind of person. Now I kind of have been itching to play Doom 64 because I have that on PC and I've heard it's very good.
Is
and
it
I kind of
co-op? Can we play together?
Ooh, we should look that up because if we could play that together, we should definitely do that for the podcast.
Totally,
and just for life, as a life fun thing. So, great question, Daniel. So now, Tyler, because I knew we kind of have a little bit of time left today, which is exciting. I want to play 20 questions where you are the guesser and I have a game for you because we haven't done this in a long time and it's kind of fun to do these on the mailbags. So if you don't remember, listeners, we haven't done this in a while. Tyler has 20 questions to guess the game. And I have a game selected here that I believe Tyler has played.
And they're yes or no questions.
Yes or no questions. Yes. I believe you've played this game. So we're going to start here. So Tyler, hit me with your first question.
Okay. Also, before we get started, bad news. Doom 64 on PC does not have co-op.
Oh, it's a bummer.
There's probably a way to make it work with one of the Doom source ports, like Doom Legacy, or I don't know what the cool Doom source port is these days, to play it co-op, but it will not be through the official release from a couple years ago.
It's a bummer.
Okay, so question. The first question I always ask, did this game come out after the year 2000?
No, before 2000.
Okay, so it is a 90s game. Did this game come on a CD?
Yes.
Okay, so probably a PlayStation game. Probably could be a Sega Saturn game, could be a Dreamcast game, 99. Although technically a Dreamcast is not a CD. So, next question. Is this game a first-person shooter?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that I should ask. Did this game come out on PlayStation?
I fear this might mislead you, but I'm going to say yes.
Okay, this game did come out on PlayStation. But I assume it was not a PlayStation exclusive then. And what do we have to? Is that 4 questions?
You said, is your question, is it a PlayStation exclusive?
No, my question was, did it come out on PlayStation?
Yes, but you had a follow-up question there too. I didn't know if that was one of yours.
I was not asking that question. I was making an assumption.
Okay.
Based on what you said before, that it is probably not an exclusive.
You're at 4 questions. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. I may ask if it was an exclusive later, but I'm not doing that just yet.
Okay.
So, first-person shooter on the original PlayStation. There weren't that many. Is this game a James Bond game?
No.
Okay. First-person shooter. Then I'm trying to think of what the first-person shooters were. There was like Disruptor, I think was a first-person shooter. That's Insomniac on PlayStation. But it was an exclusive to PlayStation. So I'm not going to guess that just yet. Did this game come out on other platforms?
Yes.
Okay.
You're at 6 right now.
Okay. Oh, I guess it could be Quake. Quake came out on PlayStation. I don't think Quake 2 did. So it's not Disruptor. It's not the Siphon Filter games because those were exclusive. I think those were shooters.
Siphon Filter were shooters. I played a demo disc when I was a kid of that game. I was really amped about it, and then I never purchased it, and it just flew to the wayside.
Oh, dang.
Tale as old as time.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to guess, is it Quake?
No.
Okay. But you said I think you've played it, which I've played Quake because we played it together.
I know
so that was a
played
wasted
Quake.
question.
Yeah, so do you want, we're doing hardcore mode. There's no take backsies, but you're only at 7 questions right now.
Yeah. It's not a James Bond game because there were a couple first-person shooters on the original PlayStation.
I'm going to say it this way. Knowing you and things you enjoy, I am believing that you played this game.
But you don't know for sure.
But I don't know for sure if you played this game. And there's no way for me to ask you because it would just ruin the game.
It would give it away.
Yeah. I can't. So we're really kind of flying blind here. And I hope I'm not tricking you. And if you lose because of that, it's my fault and not yours. So
first-person shooter on the original PlayStation. Well, it was on the PlayStation, but it was not exclusive to the PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of other. So it could be a PC game. If it was a first-person shooter, it probably was a PC game. The Doom games, I know I've played Doom. I had one in my head. What was it? Is this game a Star Wars game?
Yes.
Okay. So it's either Dark Forces or Dark Forces 2, I guess. Because those are the only... I don't know if Dark Forces 2 came out on PlayStation. Is the game Star Wars Dark Forces?
Yes.
Got it. Yeah.
You got it in 9. Dang, I was really worried that I messed you up, because that's the second time that we've done it where you've mentioned the CD-ROMs and the systems and you don't name PC, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, did I just mess Tyler up? I guess that's the point of the game.
No, it's not your fault. It's not my fault if I don't think about it. Yeah.
I just think you're really good
at this
game.
Fault,
and you have played Dark Forces, correct?
I have played Dark Forces.
That's what I thought. I was like, it's kind of like a Star Wars Doom clone. I feel like Tyler's played this game, and I even played this game. So
I played it semi-recently. I didn't finish it because I didn't play it back in the day, so I don't have nostalgia for it, and it is rough.
It's hard to play. I feel like these older Star Wars LucasArts games are something we've never really covered on the podcast, and they're really zany. Like, what was the one? Like the Jedi Academy ones are also really zany.
Oh, I played a lot of Jedi Knight 2 back in the day. A Jedi Outcast.
Because don't they have FMV cutscenes in these games too, right? Where they're like actors playing it.
Yes, in Dark Forces and maybe Dark Forces 2, they're like that. The Jedi Knight series, like Jedi Knight 2 and Jedi Academy, do not have live action.
Oh, they
cutscenes.
don't? Okay.
No.
I'm looking actually. I looked up Kyle Katarn, who's the protagonist of these games, and it's just the actor who plays him, and it does look like a fan-made Star Wars movie, and now I really want to play these games.
Yeah, those first ones are rough. Jedi Knight 2 may also be rough, but I have enough nostalgia to carry me through it. And I really haven't played very much Jedi Academy.
That's cool, though. These are cool. I mean, these are the kind of games I think that if I played these for the podcast, I would play legitimate for about an hour and then turn cheats on to finish them, to be completely honest. Because these games are probably brutally hard.
Yeah, especially the first Dark Forces, because it's like a Doom clone, but it's not as good as Doom.
Yeah, but like level design wise and
yeah, it's more maze-like than even the original Doom.
Player fairness, I guess is how I would put it. I wonder if there's like ways they've modded the game to add like extensions to make it a little easier to like see the map and where you're at, like a maze. You know how they had like the overlay in like for example in Diablo where you could just like see the screen kind of in a faded overlay. I think
that's in there already. I think you can already do
is?
that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just like, this game is a game I was just thinking about, and I feel like Tyler's played it, so I feel like it would be a good guessing game. But I forgot that the limited nature of first-person shooters in the early 90s does make it so there's some that stand out. Mm-hmm. And you got it. So good job, Tyler. What you been playing this week?
This week, I haven't had a ton of time to play a lot of different games. I've been trying to catch up in World of Warcraft to my friends so that I can play the fun stuff with them. So I made my way through, picked up my character at level 50 because we switched servers and we're Horde again. So I'm playing my Blood Elf Hunter that I played during Battle for Azeroth 4 years ago. So it was level 50. And I got all the way to 60, and then I started the new content. I'm 65 now, 66 maybe, making my way through the...
Is 70 the cap now?
70's the cap now, and I'm making my way through the story of Dragonflight. I gotta say, I'm not really into the story of Dragonflight. I liked the Shadowlands story, like enough to pay attention to it as I was doing it. I don't feel the same way about Dragonflight, but I'm also like just spamming dungeons and quests, just trying to get to 70. Like I'm not stopping to smell the flowers here because everybody is so far ahead of me that I want to make it to where they are before they churn. Because if I make it and like I'm like, you guys want to run some mythic dungeons? And they're like, nah, we stopped playing, then I'm going to be really sad. So
yeah, that's the hard part about WoW. If you don't jump in when everyone jumps in, it's rough. Because I think I jumped in a little later on Shadowlands and it was pretty hard for me to get to the level I needed to be. But once I was there, it was really fun.
Yeah, it's fun. And I mean, it's like second best time to plant a tree. Like if you think you want to get into it, you could sooner the better. That's
right. That's the way to think about it. Tree planting. All right. Yep. Well, this week I'm back into Stardew Valley a little bit. Not gonna lie, back into it. I did keep playing Duke Nukem Forever. I got a little farther. I am going to beat Duke Nukem Forever. I wrote a Substack about it already just because I was like, it's on my brain. I want to write about it. Mm-hmm. But I am going to try to finish it at some point. I'm still going through. It's getting more painful. And that was something that I've heard about from in videos I've watched and reviews I read, is it does get kind of like more pulling teeth, more monotonous as you get closer to the end. And I'm definitely feeling that. I haven't really played a lot of Destiny this week at all, but I did play a lot of Witcher 3 this week. Like I had a couple nights where I played for like 5 hours all night. Nice. Because I had the full night off and I'm like, you know what? Sitting down and I'm going to do it. Also, fun fact, I thought I was like near the end. I was near the end of Act 2. I still have a lot of game left. And so I am still very much in it. I'm back on Skellige. I'm having a good time. I'm really loving the game and I'm really digging it. And the HD remake is great. And Mike and Philly, again, every week I mention it. I'm going to mention Mike and Philly because he's the one that wanted me to play it. It's good. It's a good game. I'm having a good time getting that Master Witcher gear up, finding those. I just got to hit the level to make it for the next level of Witcher gear because the leveling is what's slowing me down. I have the gear unlocked already, but it's just the leveling. But yeah, it's a great game. I'm loving it and I'll keep playing it, but I'm kind of bouncing between. I did start playing Stardew Valley with the friends though, and the co-op mode is really fun of that game.
Yeah.
And it would be something I think you and I would have fun playing together because the way Stardew Valley works is like you run out of energy and your day's done, right? Because you have nothing you can do unless you want to eat some food. But in the co-op version of the game, if you spend all morning just like clearing out the farm in the beginning and you have no energy left, but all your friends are still playing, you can essentially go to bed and it'll say waiting for other players. But while you're waiting, your energy meter will come back up. Like it's like you took a nap. It like adds napping into the game, which I thought was a really cool feature. So I'm having a good time playing with it, trying to convince my friends not to go the Joja Mart route. I know it's easy, but I feel like the first time you play the game, you got to go community center. Okay. And people who've played Stardew know what I'm talking about. So that's what I'm doing right now. But yeah, it's a fun time.
Awesome.
All right. Well, with that we're all caught up on emails. Feels good. Feel free to send us emails if you want to. codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com. I'm kind of trying to funnel everyone to go to codexpodcast.net. That's our website. It has links to email on there. There's a contact form you can fill out. It's got a link to our Discord on there. I'm not sure if I put our Twitters on there yet, but I can do that. I might put our Twitters on there as well, because that's a really quick thing to do for me. But yeah, codexpodcast.net. If you want to reach out to us, it's the best way, or join our Discord.
You could link our Trello boards too.
Ooh, good call. I will do that. Let's do that too. That'll be fun. So I'll get that all set up this week. But with that, I think we're done for the day. Tyler, do you want to say bye to everybody?
Goodbye, everybody.